I enjoy eating as much as the next person, but when they asked me to actually plan a holiday around food, well, I was more than a little sceptical. But food tourism is a growing trend these days, and sampling local cuisine a top priority for many travellers. Yes, more and more of us are thinking about the food on our plates. We want to know how fresh it is, how it's been farmed, and just how many miles it's travelled before it's ended up there. But here in West Sweden, the food journey has been exposed as a little less complicated. Visitors to here can really track how that food has ended up on their fork when it started out here in the sea.
All is a tradition. I think in the whole world it's tradition what you eat. Every meal started with one fire and one pot, and then you use what you have around you. So of course in the west coast, in Göteborg, Sweden, we used everything from the sea.
Yes, it's not just the mighty meatball that floats the Swedes' boats. So my first port of call on this culinary cruise is Grebbestad, a small harbour town near the border with Norway, to take part in an altogether different type of fishing trip. Here we go. Ready for anything?
In the summer we can go out and fish crabs and mackerel. The end of September to December we fish lobsters.
Per Karlsson is a full-time fisherman and part-time tour guide who's found a gap in the market for hungry tourists with an appetite for adventure.
Grebbestad has 50% of the lobster in Sweden.
Wow.
Actually.
So what am I going to be doing?
You will pick up the boxes
Okay.
in the boat and take out the crabs.
Whoa, hang on, are you sure?
Yeah.
But if I'm to go mano a mano with a lobster pot full of heavily armoured crustacea, I want some protection, please. Luckily, Per's on hand to dish out some bright blue rubber gloves.
It's actually quite hard to drag it out, which makes me think that there's going to be about 10 lobsters in there. So, my first lobster pot. Sadly, though, there's no lobster in.
Never one to be defeated. We try again.
No!
I was beginning to think we were going to leave empty-handed, but then as the last pot breaks the water's surface, our luck changes.
Here we got
Yeah!
Yeah.
Whoa!
It's,
My first lobster catch.
yeah.
Wow, look! Ah! In the box.
And so with my catch of the day, we head back to land to be shown how to prepare lobster in the traditional way.
We put them in boiling water, since we have done in many generations. And when I put them in the water, he die very quick.
Okay, let's do it.
Yep.
So why do you put him in upside down?
I think the lobster die very quick when I took them upside down.
As far as holiday activities are concerned, this is certainly something a little different. So I asked Michelin-starred chef Stefan Karlsson what he thinks it is that makes the seafood so good here.
In Göteborg everything's so good with the sea because I think we have the best fish and shellfish in the world because the water is quite cold here. You can never find the lobster as it is up here. And you use the exact recipe and everything, but the taste couldn't be the same.
All that's left is for me to try my catch. Okay. That's good. That's really good.
Heading a little further south along the archipelago, and the next stop is the tiny island of Hamneskar, which boasts one lighthouse, one hotel, and one slightly eccentric but extremely amiable oyster aficionado who takes time to teach his guests about the fruits of the sea and the Swedish way to enjoy them.
This is a flat oyster, the best, the most demanded. And so we have a small hotel here where we can take guests from all over the world and giving them a good seafood meal, staying here for 1 or 2 days. The island, the sea, the good food, everything is according to a very calmful way of being here. And then you can open the oyster, take it in your mouth, chew it and enjoy it and make up your mind what you are thinking of. Lovely, isn't it?
So good.
I think you love it.
Yeah.
I will immediately open another one for you.
So what do I need to drink with this?
The most exclusive drink is to have a glass of champagne.
Excellent.
Because that stimulates your thinking mentally. It's very important to do that. Don't drink too much.
No.
No.
Oysters and champagne. Doesn't get much better than this, does it?
The majority of seafood caught off the west coast of Sweden then finds itself in the bustling coastal city of Gothenburg, where the journey takes me next, and so to the fish auction, where guide and marine biologist Ilona is on hand to show me around.
So what's happening at the moment?
He's one of the auctioneers selling the fish, and he sells box by box. And what he's talking about is the price per kilo. And the auction here is for the fishermen to sell their catch.
And who are these men? Who are these other men? Where are they from?
Retailers and wholesalers.
Okay.
Oh, this is a very lovely fish that you should eat more from. It's an ordinary herring, delicious for just frying. This is a place.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and this is a very nice cod fished from a boat a bit south of Gothenburg. 11 kilos, and you use also the head, the cheeks and the tongues and the neck.
And here we are again with my old friends, the lobsters.
Which is very
Wow,
important.
so this is still alive.
Oh yes, yes.
I wasn't expecting that.
But unless you harbour a desire for seafood on an industrial scale, you probably won't be needing a crate of shrimp, in which case your best bet is to take a trip to the local fish market, a popular destination with biblical proportions.
If you see the building, you know why, because it looks like a church. And in the old time, that was the only market in Göteborg. But nowadays it's for private consumers. So you can go down there, you can find all the lobsters and langoustines and the fish.
We are in a fiskekyrka in Gothenburg, and it's been a fish market here since 1874.
And who can come here then?
Everyone, consumers privately or from restaurants.
So tourists.
Tourists as well, of course. They are very welcome, and they come a lot.
And how fresh is this fish?
Mostly it's caught yesterday and the day before yesterday, straight here through the auction.
So, with a bountiful supply of seafood right on the doorstep, it's no great surprise that many of the restaurants here are well worth a visit too.
It's a lot of good restaurants, and the style of the food is very special for Göteborg, because we have a lot of the tradition from the old times in our food.
We're trying to work very local with food, trying to find our own style that not should be copied from so many other restaurants.
Because we are friendly people, we are serious, we are cooking fantastic. There is some very, very, very nice restaurants here in Sweden.
But it's not just the food that makes the restaurant scene here so palatable. As a household name in Sweden, chef of chefs, Leif Mannerstrom, has a few thoughts on what makes things tick.
Friendly atmosphere, of course, good customers, a good wine list, and extremely good food. That's very, very important.
The ingredients is real good up here. The carrots grow slowly because it's not so warm. I think we have the best strawberries in the world because we have a lot of sugar in them because they grow so slowly. So the food here in Göteborg is much about the ingredients, I think.
Gothenburg has 5 Michelin-starred restaurants, but thankfully the dining is still casual and not bank-breakingly expensive, meaning I get to try each of them. Now, tell me a little bit about the starter you've cooked for me.
The starter I want to use from the sea, of course, some lobster, some oysters, and of course some vegetables. And hopefully a lot of Swedish flavors.
That is just delicious.
It's quite easy, even for a novice foodie like myself, to see why the dining here is so revered. Some even think it deserves more.
If Gothenburg had been a French town, there will be around 15 of the Michelin restaurants here in Gothenburg.
But it's not all seafood, because Sweden also has a long-standing tradition of hunting, so game is often on the menu too. Ulf Wagner was the first to achieve a Michelin star in the city and talks me through one of his speciality dishes.
Where we take the leg and, as they say in French, confit, you boil it in its own fat, so it gets really tender. You get a beautiful broth. This is reduced, and I will serve it for you. This broth actually contains everything you can imagine of the wild and wilderness of Sweden.
Holidays for me are usually little more than sunbathing and swimming. I tend to get most of my nutrition from sangria fruit or the odd ice cream, so I never really think about doing a food holiday. But what I found most surprising is just how enjoyable this has been. The Swedish chefs that I've met care so much about their food. So for someone who's not much of a foodie like myself, that passion really does rub off.